Hello and welcome to Tech Raven, the channel that brings you all things audio production, video production and photography. I'm Nigel Cooper and today I'm going to do a quick little review on the KRK S8.4 Subwoofer, which I've recently added to my small home recording studio setup here. I've got mine positioned just under the desk, directly underneath the right hand side near field monitor. Now off the bat, this comes in at around £249 in the UK, and it's got a frequency response of 34.5 Hz to 133 Hz. Now this company KRK, they do two larger subwoofers as well. They do the S10.4 and the S12.4, which go down to 30 Hz and 26 Hz respectively, but they are monsters of subwoofers. They're really big and designed for larger studios. The one I've got here, the S8.4, is designed for small to medium sized studios. Now there's a reason that I bought this: to improve my mixing and mastering, and I'm going to get into that in a moment. But what I'm going to say first is some people say that you should really match the subwoofer to the brand of near field monitors that you're already using. So in my case, given that I'm using Kali IN8 monitors, I should really be using a Kali subwoofer, right? Well, I don't really agree with this. I don't think it's that important. It's different if you've got a home cinema setup and you're trying to match a center speaker to your front, right and left speakers, because there's a lot of mid and upper mid frequencies there, and you might want to match the tonal color and characteristics of that given brand of speakers so it all kind of fits and gels. But given that subwoofers only put out low bass notes and sub frequencies that you feel more than hear, I don't think it's that important at all. So with this KRK subwoofer, you can put it with any near field monitors. I found it to be a marriage made in heaven with my Kali IN8s. I think it's absolutely fantastic. It comes in at £249 in the UK. You can buy an additional mesh grill to protect the bass driver because it doesn't come with one. I haven't bothered with this for a number of reasons. One, I've read online that it's really tricky and difficult to fit because of the gasket and the way it sort of fits in. It's very tight. And a few people have complained that it does actually slightly muffle the low frequencies. I can't vouch for either of these two things because I haven't bought one. I'm based in the UK and it's difficult buying them in the UK. So if you did want one, you would have to go to Thomann in Germany, where they do them for £13.70 and they'll ship to the UK. Or if you're in the USA, of course, you can just get one from B&H and they're about $16 over there. Like I said, I haven't bothered buying one because I can't really see the need, and also the bass driver in this thing is really strong and tough, and the actual dust cap in the middle is concave, so it goes in, so it's not going to be able to pop in easy if you accidentally kick it with your foot if it's under your desk. And even if you did accidentally kick it with a boot, you'd have to kick it pretty hard to do some damage. I think the worst case now is you might just end up with a small scuff. It's a really tough bass driver, so I'm not too fussed about that. I would rather keep the cleanness of the sound, to be honest. Right, okay, so the reason I bought this to add to my small home recording studio is simply to make mixing of electronic and dance music and anything that's going to be played in clubs a lot easier. Now, there's a couple of schools of thought on this. Some home recording studio engineers will say, don't bother with a subwoofer, they're too difficult to set up and you don't need them, just stick with your near field monitors, just a right and left channel, and that's it. And if you want to get the bass notes, then just get some like these that have got an 8-inch driver and that's all you need. Now, I disagree with that for a number of reasons. One, I don't think subwoofers are complicated or difficult to set up. Some people on forums would have you believe that it's a science. It's not. It's really pretty straightforward and it doesn't have to be overcomplicated. All you have to do is just get the room positioning right, approximately, and just make sure that you set the frequency roll off to match those of your monitors, and that's it. There's nothing more complicated to it than that. In fact, on the KRK website, there's some basic instructions on how to do this. If you do want to go for one of these subwoofers, you might want to factor in an extra £50 or so for cables, because what you've got to remember is the cables are not going to be going from the monitors straight into your audio interface. The cables are going to go from the monitors down into the subwoofer. Now, depending on where you've got your subwoofer positioned in the room, you might have to get longer cables. And then from there, you need two more cables to go from the subwoofer up into the audio interface. So you're going to need potentially 4 cables. So you're going to have to look at the cables you've already got and figure out if you can use the existing 2 that you have, or whether you're going to have to buy 4 more. So if you're going to have to buy 4, factor in another £50 or so, which would bring the total price up to about 300, which is what I had to do. Okay, now getting on to the critical bit about why I decided to add this to my home recording studio. And that's simply to give me a wider frequency range, a frequency response, because by adding a subwoofer to your existing near-field monitors, it's kind of like adding an extra 3 or 4 stops of dynamic range to your photographic camera or video camera, if that makes sense. You just suddenly have a much wider frequency response that takes you down into those kind of bass areas, lower sub-bass frequency responses, some of them that you can only feel rather than hear. Now, the reason I wanted to do that is simply because of dance music and electronic music, and I compose quite a lot of that. Now, if you do the same, if you mix or master any kind of dance music or electronic music that you know is going to be played in clubs, we all know that in nightclubs or raves, stuff like that, you not only hear the music, but it's just as important to feel it. It's all about what you can feel as well as hear. So you can feel those sub frequencies in the bass rumbling in the pit of your stomach, or the upper bass notes slamming into your chest. So it's a lot about the way it feels as well as the way it sounds in nightclubs. Now, if you haven't got a subwoofer, you're not going to be able to mix those sub frequencies and bass frequencies accurately to know whether or not they're going to come across in a nightclub when people are on the dance floor dancing to it. So that's why I've added one of these, so that I can mix and master those sub bass frequencies and lower bass frequencies with a lot more accuracy, which of course is really important. So in terms of the sonic characteristics of this sub, unfortunately I'm not going to be able to give you a demonstration because if you don't own a subwoofer, you're not going to hear it on this YouTube video anyway. And also, if I start placing mics in front of these speakers, my monitors and the sub, the microphones will colour the sound. And of course, you're going to be listening to it on different monitors or headphones anyway. So you're not going to get any idea as to the sonic characteristics of this subwoofer. But I will just say that it's a well-rounded, a very smooth, well-rounded bass sound. It's almost like KRK have poured warm melted chocolate over the sound. It's just very warm and smooth and rounded, almost analog like in quality, and I love it. I just find that it matches my Kali monitors to perfection. Now, the way I've got my subwoofer set up here will probably differ slightly with how you would set yours up, because you might have different monitors, but the way I've got mine set up is I've got the crossover set to 80 Hertz. I've got the volume on the 5th dot, which is about the 1 p.m. position on the clock. I've got the high sensitivity to normal, the polarity at 180 degrees, and I've got the standby turned off, and the ground lift is also off. So that's the settings I've got here. And what you do have to do, you've got to set the volume for your near field monitors to match the volume to your subwoofer. So once you've adjusted the volume on the back or front of your monitors, whatever they are, and you've got the volume matched on your sub, you don't touch those volumes at all ever again. You basically control the volume via your audio interface, because if you adjust the volume on your monitors, then your monitors are going to go up or down, but the subwoofer volume is going to stay the same, and it's going to mess up the mixing volume between the subwoofer and the monitors. So once the monitor volume set and the subwoofer volume set, never touch them again, and control the volume via your audio interface. That way the volume between the monitors and the sub is going to be matched. In terms of build quality, it's really tough and quite heavy. It feels quite industrial and strong. It's a good, strong cabinet, nice and weighty. It comes with this rubber mat that sits underneath it that you can stick on to protect the bottom of it from the floor or whatever you're going to position it on. And all the knobs and dials on the back, they just have a nice, tough, tactile feel. It feels like it will last for a long time. So the construction is really good, and I definitely approve of that. So that's it. I'm Nigel Cooper. You've been watching Tech Raven. If you like this video, check out my other videos as well, where I cover audio production, video production, and photography. And don't forget to subscribe if you like the content. Hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.